I have lots of Christmas stuffed animals. And a stuffed brick. And a Sorcerer Mickey. And another and a Grinch shirt. As you guessed, this is probably going to be a Disney-based one. Because I've got Tigger. That is Winnie the Pooh in the background wearing my Nightmare Before Christmas hat. I've got Mickey with a scarf, and then I've got Sorcerer Mickey. I just found him the other day. He's so cute. I love Sorcerer Mickey. I'm a Disney kid. Get over it. If you haven't figured that out by now by watching this channel, I'm sorry. Newsflash. I'm a Disney kid. This bear right here is actually Ted. He's a stuffed bear that I've had pretty much most of my life. He's one of the oldest stuffed animals that I still have. This video is going to be another one of the Christmas videos, obviously, and I'm going to be talking about Disney. This one is going to be a review of the Disney movie called Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas, which came out in 1999. So basically the whole context of this movie is that it's 3 animated things featuring Mickey and Minnie, Donald and Goofy and Daisy and, you know, Max and Pluto and everything. So it's featuring all of the main Disney cast in regards to, you know, like the funny animals, Mickey and all of his group and everything, his group of friends. All of them kind of are just various aspects of like their versions of like different Christmas stories. And there's like little like animation in between them that like ties them together. Like the beginning part of it is, you know, this beautiful Christmas tree that has like this beautiful Christmas star on top of it for Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas. And, you know, there's like these 3 gifts in front of the tree, and each gift represents a different story that is going to be told throughout the course of the movie. The movie itself is narrated by Kelsey Grammer, if I remember correctly. So Frasier. He's also been in so many other things, but Frasier. But he's been, you know, he's the one that's narrating the story. And he's not quite as like interactive as like some of the other, you know, voiceover narrator characters have been in some of the other Disney things. But this is what this one is. And then the next one that I'm going to be doing is Mickey's Twice Upon a Christmas, which is a completely computer animated one. This one I still believe is hand animated. You still see the charm in it and everything. So the first story is based around Donald and his nephews Huey, Dewey, and Louie, and their ornament or their gift that represents them is a boat. And because, you know, Donald always dresses like a sailor is the point of it. You know, so we see the boat, and then it's the title of this one is Stuck on Christmas, which is, it's inspired by Christmas Every Day by William Dean Howells. And it's basically, the concept is, it's basically like Groundhog Day for Christmas, where it's like Christmas day in and day out, and only certain people know about it. So the premise of this is it's Christmas Day, you know, Donald Duck's house, and he has Huey, Dewey, and Louie, his nephews, there and everything. And side note here, I have watched all of the new DuckTales that they did with like David Tennant as Scrooge, and you know, all these other different characters, you know, all these other actors that they brought into play, you know, Huey, Dewey, and Louie, and Webby, and, you know, Mrs. Beakley, and, you know, all these other characters. And I loved how they did that, and I love how the triplets each have like much more of their own personality in that, in the new DuckTales. The older versions of the triplets that like we see here, well, they're still like, you know, kid versions, but, you know, from the 90s, their versions are kind of like DuckTales kind of in like that time frame where, yeah, the brothers had a little bit of a difference, but there wasn't as big of a difference in personality as there is, you know, nowadays. I know in the comics there was a little bit of, you know, in, you know, like the comics and like older cartoons, there was a little bit more of like a shift through personality for them, where it's like, you know, sometimes they would play something up on different on one triplet or the other, but I do like how they you know, gave them much more character development throughout the course of, you know, the new version of DuckTales. But back to Stuck on Christmas. So it's Christmas morning, and we have, you know, Huey, Dewey, and Louie get up, and they run downstairs, and they're so happy that it's Christmas, and, you know, they open up their presents, and you know, Donald yells at them because he's, you're not supposed to open the gifts yet. You're supposed to wait for the family and everything. And, and then he, throws all the food all over the place and it lands all over him and everything because Donald is Donald. And then he just gets very angry. And then, of course, we have the family showing up, which is Daisy, Scrooge, and then Aunt Gertie. I don't know a whole lot about Aunt Gertie. I don't know. But, so we see the three of them. And, they called the triplets called Daisy Aunt Daisy. And, I don't know if Disney's ever going to do anything where like Donald and Daisy actually get married, or where like Mickey and Minnie are actually married, where there's just like the yes, no, they are now officially married type of a thing. I don't know. I would be okay if they did that, but I have no idea if they ever will. Mickey, Donald, the girls aren't gonna wait forever. It's been 80 some years at this point in time. 80 some years. 80 some to 90 years at this point in time. Since you started these relationships, eventually you gotta ask them. I don't know. But, they show up and, the boys are just really, really excited, and, they get these 3 sleds that are from Donald and Daisy, and they're really nice sleds, and they go out and like play in the snow all day long with like their new sleds and everything, and then, they come in for dinner, and they're eating turkey, which I just find funny because they're ducks eating turkey. I know that's supposed to be a joke, but it's funny in my opinion. Throw a chicken in there and you're really close to a turducken, which I've never had, but I had an aunt on my mom's side that would make it at like Thanksgiving or Christmas, and I'd be like, I'm good. I don't want to eat a bird inside of a bird inside of another bird. But, the triplets don't really have very good manners. And of course, they're just like scarfing down the food at dinner. And then, but, Donald gets angry at them, of course, for that and everything. And then, everybody eats dinner and everybody's happy. And then the triplets, play with their new toys some more. And, Scrooge wants to do his carols because he loves his carols, because this is a version of Scrooge that has like already been, Ebenezered. He's already had his Christmas Carol experience, so he likes Christmas a lot. He's not the version of Scrooge from Mickey's Christmas Carol. He's still very much rich and everything like that, but he's not the doesn't like Christmas type anymore. And they're singing their carols and everything, and then the boys have to go upstairs because it's bedtime, and they're just like, we wish it could be Christmas every day, and they make a wish on the wishing star for it to be Christmas every single day. And then when they wake up the next morning, they find that their wish came true. Their toys aren't in the toy box, and they go downstairs, and like the presents are under the tree again, and they're just like, what happened? And, they open the gifts again, and like everything happens the same way that it did before. And it's just like again and again and again and again, over and over and over again, they keep, experiencing Christmas over and over again. It's only the 3 of them that are aware of everything that's happening, aware that everything's just basically on loop. And like it starts to bother them and annoy them and frustrate them because they get so bored and they get so overwhelmed with everything happening over and over and over again, that they decide that, I know what we're going to do. We're going to liven things up. We're just going to have pranks all over the place for Christmas. And unfortunately, they do. Chip and Dale live like in this tree, the 2 chipmunks, not the dancers. Disney has made that joke. But like they live in this tree, and like the boys like literally like throw like a water balloon at them in the morning, like it freezes everything, and they're in their home, and then like they like prank Donald with their gifts, and then like they are like rude to Aunt Gertie and everything, and then like they swap out the turkey for like a live turkey when it's time to eat, and it's just not going well. It's like everybody's having a horrible time at Christmas. It's not going well. And then Donald had ended up chasing the turkey around and like causing a bunch of damage, and breaking the piano so Scrooge doesn't get his carols, and it's just so horrible. And what ends up happening is, after kind of everything is kind of like gone to heck in a handbasket, Donald like looks at the tree and he's like, well, we still have the tree. And then the tree falls, and it lands on Donald, And like the three boys are about ready to like race out of there, like race off to go and like plan their sleds. Because they're just like, oh, well, we don't want to deal with this anymore, so let's go. And like they grab their sleds and then they look over and they see like Donald and Daisy. And like Donald's just like stuck under the tree. And it's like, those of us that grew up watching Disney and even now, it's like, we're aware of the whole concept when it comes to like, cartoon animals, when it comes to, Mickey Mouse characters and when it comes to, Looney Tune characters and stuff like that, and like Tom and Jerry. And even, throwing the thing of, Itchy and Scratchy from, The Simpsons. It's, yeah, if they get knocked down, yeah, maybe they get a little bit hurt, Itchy and Scratchy more than most. But, like with Donald, like if he gets hurt, like he gets right back up again pretty quickly. Like Goofy does the same thing and Mickey can do the same thing. Daisy and Minnie don't do it as much, but, if they get hurt, they can kind of get back up again pretty quickly. And, it's just this moment where we see Donald just like trapped under the tree and he's so, like everything is just like dark in the house. And like all the adults are just like, this is not good. And like, it's just very sad to look at. And like the boys finally notice that there was this card that was attached to their sleds, and they look at the sleigh and they look at the card, and it's from Donald and Daisy, and it says, Christmas isn't just about the presents and the food. It's about spending time with your family and those that you hold dear and enjoying that time and everything. And the boys feel extremely guilty for everything that they did in regards to their pranks. And they go to, they go to bed that night and they're just like, I don't want another day like that again. Tomorrow we're going to make it the best Christmas ever. And, we cut to, the next, kind of the next morning. It's like, it's, I guess, like at midnight is when the reset is. And, like, they went down and, like, they're sawing, they're, like, dismantling and, like, sawing apart their sleighs. And they're making something. And then we cut to the next morning and, the boys are up before Donald and like they made breakfast and, they're like, really happy when, all the others show up and everything and, very much having, fun and everything and, like, keeping everybody going and like instead of turkey, they have ham instead and they have like the turkey there at like the live turkey as like a guest at the table. So it's like, that's just funny. And like, and they're, encouraging Scrooge to sing his carols and, everybody's just having fun. And, Donald's getting very suspicious of this and he's like, okay, boys, what is going on? Why are you acting this way? You must have something up, must have, something up your sleeves. You must want something. And I was like, well, no. And like Daisy's like, well, why are you accusing them of something? And they're like, no, it's okay, Aunt Daisy. The thing is we actually did do something. We are hiding something. And then they like reveal that they sawed apart their sleighs and put them back together to make like a boat for Donald because like he always wants a boat and he has his like sailor hat or admiral hat that he has and he's always dressed like a sailor and everything is always the way Donald's dressed. And like they made this sailboat for him and it's the USS Dreamboat and it's just that nice thing that they made for him out of their own gifts to make him a gift. And like, we get the moment where it's like everybody's so happy and, they're all hugging and everything because it's like, they did such a nice thing. Like they made sure that like Donald and Daisy got to kiss under the mistletoe because of course. And I just find that so adorable. And like, it's like they're all singing, like the carols as it's like fading out. And then like it cuts to the next morning and it's finally not Christmas anymore. And, Donald has them, push him up this hill in his boat, and like they, he's like, "You guys probably wish it had been Christmas every day." No, and then like the boat goes down the hill, and the boat kind of crashes and kind of falls apart. But everybody's just happy. Donald and the boys are just very happy at this point in time, and kind of the moral of the story is that the narrator says, it's like, that though Christmas can't always be here, the feeling it gives us can always be. So it's, it's like, yeah, if you make that feeling last all year round. And then we move into the Max and Goofy one, which is Goofy and Max in A Very Goofy Christmas. And this one is, I don't think this is necessarily based on anything, but their little gift is a teddy bear with the sign that says A Very Goofy Christmas on it. And it's, of course, Goofy and Max are working on, getting their letter written to Santa, and trying to get all that taken care of and everything. And like, it's like down to the wire before the mailman's gonna get there, like either on Christmas Eve or just before Christmas Eve or whatever the case is. And Max, of course, knows exactly what he wants. He wants this really, really nice, skateboard type thing. It's a joke on the whole BB gun from, Christmas Story, which I've seen A Christmas Story once, and for anyone that likes it, that's fine. I didn't, but I just didn't. But it's, it's this red, skateboard type thing that Max really wants. Or not skateboard, it's a sled that Max really wants. And, there's, because we have to have a chase scene somewhere in this movie, it basically results in, like, Max riding on his bicycle with Goofy on the back. Goofy's still trying to, like, finish writing the letter and getting it ready so they can chase down the mailman, and they have to drive through them all. And, Goofy is Goofy and ends up having to go on, like, this, like, adventure through them all to find the letter because it flies out of his hand, and he has to, like, swing across ornaments and run all over the mall and everything. And, Max does stop the mailman, and, Goofy comes and he, like, lands through the top of the mail truck and gets the letter delivered, and they head off. And then back at the house, Goofy and Max are working, scooping their driveway and everything, and, like, they're just talking and, talking and, having, fun and everything. And then Pete is there, Pete, who is kind of the villain for this one. He's also kind of the villain for the Mickey and Minnie one, too. But he's kind of the villain-ish type thing, the antagonist in this, because Goofy looks at Pete as a friend, in the context of, like, in Goof Troop, because because I think kind of the way that it's kind of set up is that, like, the Donald and the nephew ones kind of is, like, a setup for, like, a prequel, quote-unquote, for, like, DuckTales, or can be seen as a prequel or a sequel to it, like, taking place, like, in that same universe. And then, like, this can kind of take place within the same universe as, like, Goof Troop and, Goofy movie, and then a very Goofy movie later down the line, obviously. In regards to when Max is in, high school, and then when he goes up to college and everything. But, so Goofy kind of sees Pete as a friend and everything. And, Pete ends up talking to Max, and Pete basically, Max is really excited about Santa. And, Pete's basically like, oh, no, Santa doesn't exist. I've traveled all over the world. I've been to the far off lands, Brooklyn included. Okay, Brooklyn is not that far away. Okay, from where I am in Nebraska, Brooklyn's kind of a long ways away, but it's not like a foreign land. But Pete is, of course, not the smartest man in the world, as we well know. He's also not the nicest man in the world, and I don't know why his wife stays with him. Although I have no idea if he would be qualified as abusive, but I don't know. And, of course, his son is, Max's best friend. Pete Jr. And then, of course, Pete has a daughter who I do not remember her name at all. Off the top of my head, I don't remember his wife's name, but that's not relevant for this episode, for this, section of this. But, Pete's like, oh, no, Santa doesn't exist and everything. And, like, Max goes back in and he's kind of sad. And, Goofy's working on getting the tree decorated, and Goofy ends up getting electrocuted, of course, at some point in this. And, of course, part of the setup for it is, we see Goofy go through, he does, like, all these escapades in the mall when he's running around. And, he doesn't get hurt. He gets electrocuted and he doesn't really get hurt and everything. And, like, him, and, like, Max says, Dad, is Santa real? And he goes, like, of course Santa's real. Who told you otherwise? And Max goes, Mr. Pete. And, like, Goofy just has, like, this moment where he's, like, not jolly. And he just, like, directly looks at, like, where the camera, and he goes, well, that figures. And I love that. He's just like, well, that figures. It's basically like, yeah, no, that tracks. That tracks for Pete saying that. And I just find that so funny. He just, like, deadpan Goofy is funny. And, he's like, no, Pete, Santa does exist, and, you just have to believe that he exists and everything, and, like, he kind of cheers Max up, and then, of course, Max kind of goes through the whole thing of, it's like, there's so many kids in the world, and that's so many presents, and so many houses, so, in such a short amount of time, and, like, how do reindeer fly? So he's going down that track of mind, that mental track of, like, well, how does he pull that off and everything, and, like, well, this is going on, Goofy is working on getting, like, Christmas dinner all set up. And, like, getting the turkey ready and, everything else ready. And Max ends up helping him. And then they make a lot of food. And Max is like, well, why are we making all this food? So much extra food. And he goes like, well, and Goofy says like, well, we're going to go and we're going to share it with, the people who are a bit less fortunate than us, and like I think they're taking it to just like the house on the other side of them, or like another house down the road, that have a family that's like a little bit on hard times, and I think they have like 4 kids, like 2 little twin little girls, and like a son that's like a bit younger than Max, and like another little girl. And like Goofy helped make food for them and everything. They all have like a nice dinner together and everything. And Goofy's just like, don't worry about it. It's, you would do the same for me. I'm just trying to help you guys out, because that's of course what Goofy does. That's of course the way that Goofy is. It's like, if I have what I need, then I have no problem with helping other people. And Max is kind of like interacting with the boy. I think his name is like Jimmy or something like that. I don't remember what the kid's name is. I don't think it's Timmy, because it's not like Tiny Tim, but it's just like it's like the little kid. And like the kid has like 2 toy cars, and he's like talking to Max, and he's like, well, we can play toy cars, and like I got this one from Santa last year, and you can play with me. And and we can share and play, because he doesn't have very much, but he's like willing to share and everything. And him and Max just kind of end up talking a little bit about Santa. And then Santa appears, and of course the audience can very much tell that it's Goofy. But, the kids don't quite see that until, unfortunately, the hat and the beard get pulled off, and it's revealed to be Goofy. And Max runs home because he's, like, very distraught by that. And he runs back to the house, and he's very upset and everything. And, like, Goofy apologizes and, like, runs after him and everything. And they get back to the house, and, like, Goofy and Max are just, like, Max is just kind of very much like angry at his dad for the fact that like, you were trying to trick me and everything. And Goofy's like, I wasn't trying to trick you. I was just trying to help them and help the kids and everything. And Santa has people that help him all over the place, and I was just trying to help Santa and make his job a little bit easier and everything. And he brings out this stuffed bear that was Max's bear when he was a kid, and it's like the same kind of bear that was the toy, of course, at the beginning of it. And he's like, trying to cheer Max up. And then unfortunately, via Goofy and Max fighting, the bear gets ripped. Like one of the arms gets ripped off, unfortunately. And Goofy just decides, it was like, okay, here's what I'm going to do. He like camps out up on the roof. He like sets up like an observation deck on the roof. And he's got like binoculars and like a telescope and like lights and everything, and like a camera. So he's going to like take a picture of Santa when he shows up. And, he's just, like, ready to do that to, like, prove to Max that Santa exists. And, like, Max is up there with him for a little while. And then, Max at one point just gets, like, fed up, and he goes inside. And, like, he tries to sleep. And, like, we kind of watch as, like, the hours go by. Max tries to sleep, and he can't sleep. And, like, he looks outside at one point, and he sees Goofy, like, doing like writing in the snow, like with the shovel and everything, and it's it's like, don't forget Max is what he's carving in the snow with the shovel, and it's just like, aww. And Goofy, Max is just like, why doesn't he just give up? And then Goofy at one point is like, oh my god, Max, I see Santa. And like he comes out, and then like it's a burglar on the roof of Pete's house that's like climbing out of the chimney, and Goofy falls off the roof. And, of course, we've seen this before. Goofy falls off the roof. He can get right back up again pretty dang quickly, or he just, like, laughs it off and gets back up again. Goofy's not laughing. And he's not, like, getting up out of the snow really, really quickly. He, like, kind of stays there. And then, like, we cut to, like, inside the house with him and Max. And, like, Goofy is just, like, sitting on the couch. And, like, I was describing this to one of my coworkers. And I'm just like, Goofy looked broken. And that's not an expression that you see on Goofy very often. Broken is not something that you associate with Goofy, of all people. And, Max is trying to cheer him up and everything. And then Max decides, okay, I know what I'm going to do. And he, like, grabs, like, the fake Santa outfit, and he, like, puts that on. And he, like, somehow goes down the chimney, because apparently he, like, went up to his room, put the Santa thing on, stuffed a pillow under his thing, and then, like, climbed out his window, climbed up onto the roof, climbed down the chimney, and then, like, popped out in the fireplace. And, I mean, like, he's trying to make his dad happy and, make his dad, cheer his dad up and everything. Because, like, his dad was doing the same thing for him earlier. And, like, Max realized that that was what his dad was trying to do. And so it's this moment where, like, Max is having this realization and everything. And, Goofy, tries to get him to stay, because he's like, oh my god, it is Santa. And he's like, why are you so short? Well, the camera ad makes you taller. And adds more weight. And I was just like, I gotta keep going. I visited here. I gotta go up. I gotta keep going again. And like, Goofy chases him up the chimney because Max is trying to get away and it doesn't work. And Max almost falls off the roof, but Goofy, of course, catches him. And like, it's revealed that it is Max. And then this is the moment where it's just like, I'm sorry. I wanted to help you feel better. And, Goofy, Max apologizes to his dad and he's just like, it's okay. I'm glad that you're not hurt. And then this is, of course, when the actual Santa shows up, when the sleigh shows up and everything. Of course. And, the sleigh shows up and like the surfboard, the snowboard kind of like, appears and everything. So Max gets that. And, he's like, but Santa didn't leave you a gift, Dad. And he's like, I ask for the same thing every year, and every year I get it. Your happiness. And it was like, oh, like they're hugging and everything. And then like Pete comes out and he's like yelling at Santa. And like Santa just like moves all the snow from like Goofy's house over onto Pete's house, which is just funny. As like punishment, like Pete is just like, come back, like pleading with Santa and then angry at him. And then like Max is getting ready to run off, or like it's morning now, and he's like, well, I'm gonna go and share my sled with my snowboard with Jimmy next door and everything, so that way the kid so that way they can have fun too. And like we see Max and Jimmy playing and everything, which of course would make Goofy very proud of his son and everything, because it's like passing on the good deed and everything, sharing what you have. And of course, the narrator, explains, Christmas is found in the way that we live and not what we receive by what we give, type of thing. Each one comes with a different lesson. And then, of course, finally, we have the last one, which is the Mickey and Minnie one, which has Pluto in it, of course. And this is, its little symbol by the tree is a little sleigh. And the sleigh has a tag that is Mickey and Minnie's Gift of the Magi. Now, the proverb of the Gift of the Magi, for slight backstory, and I don't have exact dates for like when this came or anything like that, when the story of it kind of came about, I don't know. But it's a reference to, of course, the three Magi, the wise men that traveled, of course, to, come and deliver gifts to baby Jesus and everything. So it's a reference back to that, of course. And, for the Magi, it was the gifts for gold, frankincense, and myrrh, which are these very expensive things that then, probably helped Mary and Joseph be able to take care of Jesus. And in the context of the story for the Gift of the Magi, it's this concept of giving up what you hold most dear for the person that you hold most dear, for something for them. And that's basically what we see here with Mickey and Minnie. And it's, it's Christmas Eve. It's Mickey's on his way to Minnie's with Pluto and everything. And, he's playing his harmonica and everything. Because in this case, they have, Mickey kind of not be super high on his luck. And he's kind of down on his luck and everything. But he's still, very cheery and everything. And he's, so happy because he's going to buy Minnie this very nice, pretty chain to go with, like, her, like a very nice necklace, very nice pendant that she has. And he wants to buy her that for Christmas, and he's like, okay, well, we're going to do really good at work today, and we're going to come back and we're going to buy that pendant at before the store closes and everything. And, Minnie, on the other hand, is, she has got like all these bills that she needs to pay and everything, and she's behind on so many things, and she, wants to get Mickey a case for his harmonica. And, because that's like his prized possession. And then for Minnie, Mickey, of course, as I said, wants to get her a chain for her very beautiful watch that she has, for this very beautiful pendant watch that is gorgeous, heart-shaped, gorgeous. Disney just needs to make versions of these and sell them. I'm sorry, they should. And there's a lot of Disney Christmas stuff that they should sell. But one of the things is, Mickey, of course, still has Pluto with him, and then Minnie has her cat, Figaro, who is, of course, supposed to be a reference back to the cat Figaro from Pinocchio. Whether or not it's the exact same cat is left up for debate, because that would be a very old cat. But in the context of, Disney canon, that's Minnie's cat that she has at various points in time. And what ends up happening is, Mickey and Minnie are, having a nice little breakfast and everything. Mickey takes Minnie off to work on his little sleigh that's being pulled by Pluto and everything to get her to work. And she's betting on this Christmas bonus that she can use to help buy Mickey the harmonica case. And Mickey, of course, goes to work, and he's working at Crazy Pete's tree lot, which it's, it's Pete, of course. It's the same Pete who's a cheapskate, and he bought all these trees and has like all these fake, trees that he's like literally like glued together and everything. It's Pete, and he's trying to sell these like giant 10-footer trees, which is so stupid. It's like nobody needs a 10-footer tree that hasn't got one already, you idiot. Because it's a reference back to, like, in Goof Troop, Pete has like a used car sales lot, so it's a reference back to that. And like that's where Mickey works, and he's working with selling and moving the trees, and getting them bagged up for people and sent off with them. Well, not bagged up the trees, but getting them set up on their car and everything to send home with them. And he gets like this really nice big tip from this lady. And it's like he wasn't doing it for the tip. He was just like she just like gave him this like giant pile of money. Which is just funny, and it's just like it was like, oh no, ma'am, it's okay. I wasn't even doing anything. Plop. Okay, thank you. And he's just like, yo, that's money he's going to use to buy Minnie the watch and everything. So it's not for him, it's for Minnie. And, then there's this family, this very down on their luck family. And Pete's trying to sell them this 10-footer, and that doesn't end up working. And Mickey, like, tricks, I guess, Pete out of not being able to pay that, or not getting the money out of it if he wants out of it. So he takes that from Mickey. And he kicks Mickey and Pluto off the lot, and he takes the money from Mickey, and then he shoves that into his pocket with a lit cigar, because Pete is an idiot, and we know this. He's a greedy idiot. And he shoves that into his pocket, and then he gets set on fire, and then all of this glue that he had there, along with all these very flammable dead trees, gets set on fire. And this, all the firehouses have to show up and start, putting all the fire out and everything. And then we cut over to like the park, where they're going to be having this toy drive. And the toy drive is supposed to be, for, less fortunate kids and everything like that. And, the band that's supposed to play there isn't there because they're handling the fire at Pete's place. And, Mickey is just like, okay, well, we got, Mickey's also sitting in the park, and he's like, well, I got to figure out another way of getting that necklace for Minnie in like the short amount of time that I have left. And he's like, oh, what am I going to do? And then he starts playing the harmonica. And then, like, the other firemen that are, like, running the toy drive, like, run over and, like, grab him and, like, throw him on the stage. And, like, it's like, play your harmonica. Go play the harmonica and make the kids happy so people will donate gifts. And, of course, Mickey does. And then, of course, the band that was, like, off dealing with the fire shows up, and, like, they start playing and everything. And the band is called the Firehouse Five, which is a reference to... Well, it's a reference to the fact that a bunch of the animators from Disney, like the original, like the 9 Old Men and several of the other animators for Disney, had like a band that was called the Firefly Five. And if you may recall back when I did the Princess and the Frog video, you might remember, you might not, I don't know. Way back when I did that, I referenced the fact that at the end of Princess and the Frog, Louis, who is the alligator, he joined a band that's called the Firefly 5 + 2, which is a double reference back to the fact that, there's, of course, Ray the Firefly in, Princess and the Frog, and he, passed away, and throughout the course of the movie, he died. He's killed by the villain. And, his star, a star pops up that's supposed to be him in the heavens, with him and his Evangeline, and I went over this much more detailed in the, Princess and the Frog video, but I just wanted to do like this. It's a double way callback. Then like the band is called the Firefly 5 + 2 and everything. So it's, it's just a reference all the way back to stuff. And I just love that. I love when Disney references Disney within Disney. Whether or not they meant to or not is left up for debate. But like there's all that reference back there that I love. Callbacks. And, Mickey, of course, helps, and like they get all these toys and everything for the toy drive. And like he's like has to like run off. Him and Pluto are like racing to get to the pawn shop because he realized it was like, I'm gonna pawn my harmonica in order to get Minnie the necklace, in order to get Minnie to change for her watch. So he's like racing to the racing there as fast as he can, and they get there just after it closes. And like the guy is just like, nah, I'm sorry, I can't help you. And like he's walking away, and like Mickey sits and he plays the harmonica, and then the the salesman, the owner of the shop comes back, and he's like, I think I can help you get something for that. Yeah, come on inside. And helps him and everything. Meanwhile, with Minnie throughout that day, Minnie works in like the toy wrapping department, the gift wrapping department of Mortimer's department store, which is a reference to Mortimer Mouse, who Mickey's original name was supposed to be Mortimer Mouse way back when Walt Disney was coming up with it, but his wife was like, no, I don't like the name Mortimer. I like the name Mickey. So they went with Mickey instead to make his wife happy. It's a very good thing he did. Mickey Mouse is much better to say than Mortimer Mouse. But Mortimer at times has been like just like this like antagonistic character like Mickey or Minnie at times throughout the course of the series, throughout the course of other Disney works over the years for like Mickey Mouse works and stuff like that. He's kind of been like an antagonistic character every now and then. But like Minnie is like, you know, she's the one that gets this bonus, and she thinks it's going to be like this, you know, really nice Christmas bonus of like money of some kind, and then she's going to use that to buy the harmonica case for Mickey. Of course, it's not. It's fruitcake that leaves a dent in the floor. So she has to come up with another way of getting a gift for Mickey. And if, as I said, if you remember the story of the Magi from what I explained at the beginning, you can figure out where this is going. And what ends up happening is, you know, that night, you know, having, you know, Christmas at like Minnie's house, and, you know, Mickey's there, and like Pluto and Minnie, of course, are there. And, you know, Sylvester, not Sylvester. That's Warner Brothers. That's Looney Tunes. That's not this. Figaro the cat is, of course, there. And what ends up happening is, you know, Mickey and Minnie give their, you know, give Pluto and, you know, Figaro their gifts. Pluto gets a bone, and, you know, Figaro gets a ball of yarn. And then, you know, Mickey and Minnie give each other their gifts. And you know, Mickey opens it, and it's a harmonica case. And he realizes instantly that it's, you know, it's a harmonica case for my harmonica, which I kind of don't have anymore. And then Minnie like pulls it out. Oh, it's a beautiful chain. Oh. And like it's like the moment where they're looking at each other. It's like, you gave up what meant most to you for me, type of a moment. And you know, in regards to that, it's, you know, it's like Mickey goes, you're all the music I'll ever need to Minnie. And the quote that I have between those two is actually the quote on the end of this video, because it's like one of my favorite quotes from the episode, from the movie. And of course, you know, they're very happy and everything, and, you know, the gifts that are, you know, love is, you know, the narrator says, you know, the message of this one is, you know, giving presents from the heart is more cherished forever, and that a present is best when love is given. And then, of course, kind of like there's a slight epilogue with it. It's not much of an epilogue, but it's a slight epilogue where it's, you know, the movie comes to a close with, you know, they cut back to the house where the tree was, and like all the gifts are there, and like everything lights up, and then we cut outside and we see Mickey and Minnie and Pluto appearing like on the sleigh and everything, and like they're all nice dressly and everything, and then like we see Max and Goofy pop up and they're singing and everything, you know, they're each kind of singing different carols, and then, you know, and then we see, you know, Donald and Daisy and Huey, Dewey and Louie pop up, and they're all for some reason dressed in like 19th century, like early 19th century, like choir outfits, I guess, nicely dressed and everything. Why they are, I don't know. I don't know if like that was like from something else and then they put it in here, or like it's based off of something, I don't know. But they do that, and like they're all singing, you know, jingle bells, or deck the halls, or we wish you a Merry Christmas. And, you know, and then, you know, they're all finishing up together, you know, we wish you a Merry Christmas, you know, and a happy, you know, holidays, Happy New Year and everything to the audience, of course, for the holidays. And that's basically how the movie ends. Pretty much, if you just want to know, like, the cast list for this, it's, you know, pretty much just go look up any, you know, Disney animated thing that had Mickey, Minnie, Donald, Goofy, Daisy, and Pluto in it, and Max in it for the past, from, like, the mid-90s, late 80s, mid-90s, up to about the early 2000s, late 2000s, before 2010. And of course, another reason why I love this one is, of course, because it does have Wayne Allwright as Mickey, and you know, his wife, that, you know, the woman that was his actual wife in real life, as Daisy, and like they met playing Mickey and Minnie, and I just always find that so adorable. So that's what we have for this one. I am going to do a recording or a review of Mickey's Twice Upon a Christmas, which is, I guess, kind of a sequel to this one, so I'm going to go do that now. So I thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a nice rest of your day, and I hope you have a happy and safe holiday season. Bye!
Oh, Mickey, I can't believe you gave up what means the most to you for me.
Oh, Minnie, you're all the music I'll ever need.